Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the annals of time, unraveling the mysteries of human civilization. Today, we find ourselves in the midst of one of the most pivotal moments in modern history, the French Revolution. As we delve into this transformative era, let us first set the stage, for it is in the shadows of the past that we discover the seeds of revolution. The French Revolution, a maelstrom of change that would reshape the course of European history, was not a sudden eruption, but rather the culmination of centuries of simmering discontent. To grasp its origins, we must travel back to the late 18th century, to a France beset by financial crisis, social inequality, and the Enlightenment's clarion call for liberty, equality, and fraternity. The country was burdened by an onerous system of taxation, with the nobility and clergy exempt from paying their fair share, leaving the common folk to bear the weight of the nation's fiscal woes. In the year 1789, the air was thick with anticipation and desperation. The Palace of Versailles, that opulent symbol of royal excess, stood in stark contrast to the poverty and hardship faced by the common people. As we stroll through the Hall of Mirrors, we can almost hear the whispers of discontent among the populace. The extravagance of King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette only served to further inflame the passions of the people. As we make our way to the Estates General of 1789, we find a gathering of representatives from the three estates: the nobility, the clergy, and the commoners. This assembly, convened on May 5, 1789, was intended to address the financial crisis facing France, but it would ultimately become a catalyst for revolution. The Third Estate, representing the common people, began to assert its influence, demanding greater representation and reform. On June 17, 1789, the Third Estate declared itself the National Assembly, marking a significant turning point in the revolution's trajectory. This bold move was met with resistance from the nobility and clergy, but the National Assembly persevered, driven by the conviction that a new France could be forged from the ashes of the old. As we walk through the streets of Paris, we find ourselves at the iconic tennis court, where on June 20, 1789, the representatives of the National Assembly took an oath to continue their work on a new constitution, despite the king's orders to disband. This courageous act of defiance would become known as the Tennis Court Oath, a testament to the unwavering commitment of the revolutionaries. The summer of 1789 wore on, with the National Assembly continuing its work, drafting the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This foundational document, adopted on August 26, 1789, enshrined the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, setting the stage for a new France built upon democratic ideals. The fall of the Bastille, on July 14, 1789, marked another pivotal moment in the Revolution's early history. This iconic symbol of royal tyranny was stormed by a mob of Parisians who saw the fortress as a representation of the monarchy's oppressive power. The event sent shockwaves throughout France, galvanizing support for the revolution and paving the way for further radical change. As we pause to reflect on these momentous events, we find ourselves at the threshold of a new era, an age marked by upheaval, innovation, and the unyielding pursuit of liberty. The earliest stirrings of the French Revolution have given rise to a maelstrom of change, setting the stage for a tumultuous period in human history. Join me as we venture deeper into this pivotal moment, exploring the complex web of events that would forever alter the landscape of France and the world beyond. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we continue our journey through the annals of time, unraveling the mysteries of human civilization. The National Assembly, driven by the conviction that a new France could be forged from the ashes of the old, continued to push for radical change. On August 4, 1789, The Assembly adopted the August Decrees, a series of sweeping reforms aimed at dismantling the feudal system and promoting social equality. As we walk through the streets of Paris, we can feel the air thick with anticipation and excitement. The people were beginning to see the tangible results of their revolution, as the nobility's privileges were stripped away, and the clergy was forced to relinquish its hold on the nation's wealth. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, adopted in August 1789, had become a beacon of hope for the common people, enshrining the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity that would guide the revolution. One of the most significant events of this period was the Great Fear, a wave of panic that swept through the countryside in the summer of 1789. As rumors of aristocratic conspiracies and foreign invasions spread like wildfire, peasants and commoners rose up to defend their communities against perceived threats. This spontaneous uprising marked a turning point in the revolution, as the people began to take matters into their own hands, forming militias and taking control of local governments. As we explore the intricate web of events that unfolded during this period, we find ourselves at the doorstep of the royal palace, where King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were struggling to maintain their grip on power. The monarchy's authority was crumbling as the National Assembly continued to push for greater representation and reform. On October 5, 1789, a mob of Parisian women marched on Versailles, demanding bread and justice, and forcing the royal family to return to Paris. The year 1790 saw the establishment of the civil constitution of the clergy, which subordinated the Catholic Church to the French state and led to widespread resistance among the clergy. The National Assembly also adopted the law of suspects in September 1793, which allowed for the arrest and execution of anyone suspected of counter-revolutionary activities. This marked a dark turn in the revolution, as the Reign of Terror began to unfold. As we navigate this complex landscape, we find ourselves at the height of the French Revolution's influence and power. The ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity were spreading like wildfire throughout Europe, inspiring similar movements for reform and revolution. The revolution had become a beacon of hope for the oppressed and a symbol of resistance against tyranny. As we pause to reflect on these momentous events, we find ourselves at the threshold of a new era, an age marked by upheaval, innovation, and the unyielding pursuit of liberty. The French Revolution had forever altered the landscape of France and the world beyond, leaving behind a legacy that would continue to shape human history for centuries to come. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we conclude our journey through the annals of time, unraveling the mysteries of human civilization. As we left off in our previous segment, the French Revolution had reached its zenith, with the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity spreading throughout Europe. However, this period of radical change was short-lived, as the revolution began to consume itself from within. As we delve into the decline and aftermath of the French Revolution, we find ourselves in the midst of a power struggle that would ultimately lead to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. The Reign of Terror, which lasted from 1793 to 1794, was a period marked by extreme violence and repression. As the Committee of Public Safety, led by Maximilien Robespierre, sought to eliminate any perceived threats to the revolution. Thousands of people were executed by guillotine or other means, including King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, who were put to death in 1793. The Reign of Terror ultimately came to an end with the fall of Robespierre in July 1794, but the damage had already been done. The revolution had become synonymous with bloodshed and chaos, and the French people were growing weary of the constant turmoil. In 1795, a new constitution was adopted, which established the Directory, a 5-member executive council that would govern France. However, this system proved to be ineffective, and the country continued to struggle with instability and corruption. It was against this backdrop that Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power. A brilliant military strategist and charismatic leader, Napoleon seized control of the French government in 1799 and established the consulate, which marked the beginning of his reign as Emperor of France. Under Napoleon's rule, France experienced a period of relative stability and prosperity, but the revolution's ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity were all but forgotten. As we examine the lasting legacy of the French Revolution, we find that its impact was far-reaching and profound. The revolution's emphasis on individual rights and democratic principles inspired similar movements for reform and revolution throughout Europe and beyond. The Napoleonic Wars, which lasted from 1803 to 1815, spread revolutionary ideas across the continent, shaping the course of modern history. In the years following Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, France experienced a period of restoration as the monarchy was re-established, and the country attempted to return to its pre-revolutionary roots. However, the legacy of the French Revolution continued to shape French politics and society, with the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity remaining a powerful force in the country's development. Today, the French Revolution remains one of the most significant events in modern history, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the unyielding pursuit of freedom and justice. As we conclude our journey through this pivotal moment, we are reminded that the revolution's impact continues to be felt, shaping the course of human events and inspiring new generations to strive for a better world. Join me next time on History with Herodotus, as we explore another fascinating chapter in the annals of human civilization. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe,